Alright, hello everybody, my name is Jake, and today I'm going to be building a Reddit bot live. I created an account called Scary Terry Bot, and that's basically what this bot is going to be doing, is acting like Scary Terry. For those unfamiliar with Scary Terry, he's a character from Rick and Morty who likes to say bitch at the end of all of his sentences.
Welcome to your nightmare, bitch!
Anyways, in order to prevent being blocked, I'm going to go ahead and stop it there, and feel free to look up more on your own. So let's get to it. So first, what I did was I came onto Reddit, created the account, and I created an application. I'm not going to show you the inside because there's a API secret in there that I can't share, or else anybody would be able to mess with my stuff. So I came in here. It's really easy. You give it a name. I chose a script application, and yeah, that was it. I put in a fake redirect URI. I think I just put localhost. So for this, I'm going to be building this in Python. And the only non-standard package that I'm going to be needing is this PRAW, which is Python Reddit API wrapper that somebody else wrote. It deals with a lot of stuff that I don't want to have to deal with, like managing requests per minute and stuff like that, because the API has some limitations or some things to deal with that. So this thing helps you out a lot, and it makes it a lot easier. This way I don't have to manually hit the API and build a massive API wrapper around it, because somebody already did it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to use PyCharm for this. All I did here was I created a new project folder. I created a couple files, one called run.py, which is where most of our code is going to go. Config.py, this is where I'm going to hold like config variables. And then I created another file called secret.json, and that's just where my username, my password, and my API credentials are. So I'm not going to open that on stream, but you can believe me that they're there. All right, so first we're going to have to import this package. And like I said, this is a third-party. It's not a standard Python library package. So in order to create this, or to install it, in my project settings, I have an interpreter. I created a virtual environment. If you don't understand what that is, it's okay. Basically, it's just a it's basically an instance of Python that you can use to install packages, and if without having to mess around with global packages on your machine. So it's just for this project specifically. And in order to install the Python wrapper, I just typed in proc, clicked install package, and it handled the rest for me. Okay, which it looks like it installed requests and wheel and proccore, and maybe these two, yeah, certify, chart it. Okay, so that's pretty much all we're going to need for that. So we're going to need this. We're probably going to need RegX, or RegX, however you'd like to say it, just short for regular expressions. We're going to need some sort of database to hold IDs of comments that I've already commented on, so I don't accidentally comment on them more than once. I'll probably need date time, might need random. I could also import like logging or something like that, but I think for now this is probably fine. Yep, let's just leave it at that. And I'm also going to import this config file, which is just importing this as a module. Okay, so first of all, we're going to need to figure out exactly how this bot is going to work. So here's how I've envisioned this working. We look through comments. So say we you hit some sort of page like the Reddit front page, and you get I don't know, top 100 hot items on the Reddit front page. Okay, so then for each of those submissions, or for each submission, that's what they're called in Reddit, right? For each post, basically, we're going to look through all the comments, get comments, and then for each comment, we will look for a. Well, we could do a few things. One, let's look for any like interesting phrases that Scary Terry says. So he says, "You can run, but you can't hide, bitch." He says, what else does he say? Welcome to your nightmare, bitch. Buckle up, bitch. Get off my back, bitch. He also says, aw, bitch. Things like that. So look for key phrases that Terry already says on his own. That'd be kind of fun to do. And then we can also look for, so let me just put this in here. And you can run, here on out, things like that. Or we can just look for comments, I'll just say for each comment, look for key phrases, or we can just look for a bitch as the last word. And then, if one of those exists, then we will go ahead and comment as a or reply to that comment with a YouTube video of Scary Terry. Okay, so I think that's should do it for now. So let's go ahead and since we're going to be needing a database connection and a connection to the Reddit wrapper and things like that, we should probably create a class. We'll call it TerryBot and create an initialize method, and go ahead and open a connection. If you're not familiar with SQLite 3, it's very similar to MySQL. It has SQL language, but it's stored in a file, which makes it really fast for opening and reading, and especially for something this small, it's not going to get very big. And we'll go ahead and call that terrybot.db. And we'll have to open a cursor for this database connection. That allows us to actually interact with the database. And let's see, so we're going to need a table structure of some sort to hold this kind of stuff. So let's go ahead and just put that here. We'll put an execute statement in here to create the table. If not exists, I'll just call it comments. We'll create an ID. That'll be the actual ID of the Reddit comment. And let's see, we'll probably need some sort of date time deal. So let's go ahead and store date time. Unfortunately, SQLite 3 doesn't have a date or a date time type. It only supports like what is it? I think it only supports SQLite 3. Oops. By the way, I am using Python 2, not Python 3, but it doesn't really matter. At least for this project, it doesn't matter. SQLite, Python types. So int, long float, string, Unicode buffer. So not too many types, unfortunately, but that's okay. It'll work. We can always process date times as strings and turn them into datetime objects in Python. And then why not just create a permalink as well, which is the link to the comment that we're commenting on. Maybe for later if we want to go back and I don't know, comment on other people's comments based on our comments, or if we want to like upvote their comments that they wrote onto ours. Seems to be like kind of like a Reddit thing where if you have a bot and people like it, they type good bot, whatever. And okay, so I think that's it for database stuff. Let's go ahead and create a connection to this Reddit wrapper. So it's all here on the in their documentation here on how to connect to it. I looked at it a little bit beforehand. You need a client ID, a secret, a user agent. You also need to pass it your username and password if you want to comment on people's things. So, as you can see here. It also shows you a bunch of cool stuff, you know, how to get submissions, how to get comments, but we'll get into that. So let's go ahead and create this, and we'll go ahead and prod.reddit. And oh, you know, before we do that, we're going to need a few things. Let's go ahead and open this config file. And, you know, I actually put all of that information in the JSON file, which reminds me we're going to need to import JSON here too. So we'll go ahead and secrets, or credentials, we just call credentials, equals open JSON, not JSON, secret.json .read, but we want to load that into a string using json.loads, which is load string. So it takes the contents of secret.json, pulls it in, and loads it into a JSON object. So that's what we're going to go ahead and use this to pass into here. So we'll call client ID equals creds client ID? No, API, I think I called it API client ID. I'd open it to double check, but I'm pretty sure that's it, and I don't want to go ahead and put that in, show it on the screen here. So we'll call client secret. I think that's what it was, right? Yeah, client ID, client secret. You know what, here, we'll just copy and paste this. This will be easier. So, Reddit equals, yeah, this, so client ID, we'll go ahead and do creds API client ID, and I should have named these the same, and this will be creds API secret. And the user agent, this is something that's interesting. I didn't actually put this in the credentials. Basically, you have to have some sort of user agent. A lot of times, you know, if you're browsing something on Firefox, for example, every time you submit a request to any website, it includes a user agent, which usually includes, you know, like Mozilla, which is the name of the company, or if you're using Chrome, it'll say Chrome, and it has like the version number of which browser you're running, as well as like the operating system you're running on, things like that. But Reddit wants, according to their documentation, Reddit wants you to have a unique user agent. Otherwise, they will, quote, ban you with extreme prejudice, end quote. So we'll just go ahead and we can just put anything we want in here, basically. So you can comment, but you know, I'm going to put this in double quotes so I can use an apostrophe, but you can't hide bitch. Okay, cool. And then username, we'll go ahead and grab the username from our credentials, username, and we'll go ahead and put that there as well for password. And Yeah. Okay, cool. And just so we know that everything's looking good so far, we'll create our main function here, and we'll say bot equals Terry bot. Okay. All right, that looks good to me. I think we can we just click run on this thing? I don't really know how this, I never use the run in here. I do it the old school way. Actually, I have the virtual environment, so I might as well just do this. Let's click run, see what happens. Okay, cool, so everything worked well. All right, so far so good. I guess I named these things correctly, or I remember the names of them. Okay, so now we have our Reddit instantiation, and we have our database set up. And now if you look, we actually already have this terrybot.database. That's because it created a table and it saved it. So let's see, what do we want to do? We want to hit the front page. You know, another thing we could do is we could also hit subreddits. And we could also get, 100 hot of each, right? So for subreddits, for example, we could, Rick and Morty might be a good place to browse for the /r/Rick and Morty might be good to browse for comments that work. And let's see, who else is going to say bitch, right? The front page is going to be good because plenty of people arguing there. We're probably going to want to look at, well, in my experience, gaming, pretty much almost any gaming subreddit is just filled with people bitching like nonstop. So we could look in like the League of Legends subreddit or the Fortnite subreddit or Rocket League or, etc. So these might also be good places to look. So what do we need to do then? We're going to need to create some sort of, well, we're definitely going to need to create some sort of comment command, right? Because we're going to need to be able to, while crawling, say, hey, comment on this, hey, comment on this, hey, comment on this, and we don't have to type that over and over again. So let's see, we'll need a comment, right? We're probably going to also want a crawl or a basically kind of like a run method. And you know what else we're going to need? We're going to need to know if we've commented on something or not before, right? Which could probably boil down to one line of code, but it's cleaner if you have a function call, even if there's a little bit more overhead. So has been commented on, and that'll be some sort of true false return statement. That's all I can really think of for now. So why don't we go ahead and start that? We can. This one seems like the easiest to me since we already know the table structure. This seems like the easiest thing to bang out real quick. So we have some sort of ID, right? So say you're passing in a comment or a comment ID. Yeah, we'll just pass in the ID. We will go ahead and query our database to see whether or not that ID exists. So what that looks like is we're going to use our cursor and we will select ID from comments where ID equals something like that, and comment ID. I think this is the way this package works, the question mark. We'll very shortly find out. So, oh, and then we'll have to fetch one. And we might as well just look this up real quick. I'm pretty sure a fetch one will return a row in the form of a tuple if it exists, and if it finds nothing, it'll just return none, which would actually make this really easy to do in one line. So we can just say return true if this exists, otherwise we'll return false. Yeah, I think this should work. Cool. Let's go ahead and let's start with the crawling logic, since we haven't really gotten anywhere else, and that seems like probably the best place to start. So we're going to need some sort of pages to crawl through, right? So the way this Reddit thing works, we can do self.reddit.front.hot, and I believe this returns if you don't pass in a limit, it returns 100 results. So you could say like limit 20, or limit equals 20, for example, or you can just leave it blank and it'll grab 100. You could probably grab more than that if you wanted to. Or you could say self.reddit.subreddit, yeah, subreddit, and then you can pass it a name, like, what do we say up here? Rick and Morty. And that would show us all of the, or that would go ahead and grab the subreddit itself, and then we would also want to grab the top 100 hot things, right? The hot submissions. So that would be great. However, you can see I don't want to have to type for every single Rick and Morty or for every single subreddit we want to hit. So this is where the config file could come into play. So we probably want to create some sort of subreddits. Let's call it something other than subreddits. We can call it bitchy subreddits. We'll go ahead and do create a list, Rick and Morty. What else did I say? Rocket League. Rocket League. Basically anything with League in it. League of Legends. You know, sports might be a good place to check out. I don't know if that's a subreddit. It's got to be. Gaming. What else do people argue? Probably the keto subreddit or some shit like that. I don't know. People are real touchy about that. Ooh, politics. Is there? Oh, the Donald. That might be a good place to check, but I don't know if they do. A lot of subreddits will make sure you can't even comment if your account is young. I know the Fortnite Battle Royale subreddit doesn't let you comment if your account is less than a week old, so that might backfire on us. We'll go ahead and keep these for now, and that should be enough. So while we're on this, we might as well also think about our trigger phrases, right? Or trigger words, trigger phrases. Let's go ahead and just create a couple just so we have something to work with. Let's do, what is it? What did I say? Buckle up, bitch. Welcome to your nightmare. Get off my back. I don't know how often those are actually realistically said. Buckle up is probably the most common out of any of those. I've never seen anybody type welcome to your nightmare, but it could work. And you know, there are other phrases like you can run but you can't hide. It's nothing but nightmares from here on out. I'm late to class. These things don't belong together. These two halves don't belong together, bitch. But those ones seem like a little bit more complex to me because of a couple reasons. One, nobody says them, or two, things like I'm late to class is a little bit different than the lazy I'm late to class, right? One of them has an apostrophe, the other one doesn't. So we'll go ahead and create a more complex trigger phrases dictionary. This way we can kind of split things up. So like you can run, for example, right? Or you can't hide, right? Or you can't hide with an apostrophe, right? Things like that. And the reason I'm putting this in a dictionary is because I think if we find someone saying you can run, we want to quote the whole thing, right? So we would want to get you can run, but you can't hide, bitch, right? Or something like that. We can leave out the bitch and just do that in a separate part of the code, but you get the idea. So these three things could point to this phrase, but I think that's enough for now. So we'll go ahead and return back to here. So what we're going to want to do is, all right, so now we have the front page and we're going to have these subreddits. So we should probably also create a, in our class, we should probably have a list of pages, right? So probably going to want to start with the front page. So let's go ahead and do self.reddit.front, and we can go ahead and extend it with the bitchy subreddits. Oh, however, these are strings, right? Bitchy subreddits. Each thing in here is a string. So we're going to need to go ahead and extend this with a list of self.reddit.subreddit objects of a subreddit from so basically this is a what do they call this, a list comprehension. Yes. What this does is this says for every string found in this bitchy subreddits list, we're going to create a self.reddit.subreddit object and pass that in. So now our pages should look like a list. The first one would be this, and then for each of the subreddits we would have another object in the list. So that's what our pages would look like. I think that's going to be helpful for us. So we can remove that then, and yeah, okay, let's just get started with that. So we'll say for page in self.pages. So for the first one, it's going to grab self.reddit.front, right? And we want to get the submissions from that. So we can say, well, we might as well just print it just for optics or something. Print, no, not print, for submission in page.hot. So this will grab 100 hot submissions from the page, which the first page would be self.reddit.front, the front page. So within here, we can go ahead and for each submission look through through all the comments. So we'll go ahead and print the submission. Now I'm going to format this. I'm going to format this just so we can have something nice to look at here. Submission. Yes, the title. I'm going to go ahead and code this with a ignore. This is in case there's any special characters. Python 2 really can't handle UTF-8 and anything outside of the ASCII thing, and it's a total pain in the ass. So I'm just going to go ahead and ignore any weird special characters for printing so that the program doesn't crash just while we're trying to debug. Okay, so the way the comments works within this praw package is when you get comments, it gives you a generator of comments, which doesn't give you all of them at once. So in order to get them all, I'm just going to pull them all in at once at the beginning. They give you a really nice submission.comments.replace more and limit equals none. So the reason I'm doing this is because when you get the comments, you get a comment object, you know, etc. And at some point you get more comments, which is a completely different object. So for each of these, this has a body variable within it. This has a body variable within it. This doesn't. And so you end up running into an error if you're just trying to ask for the body of every comment within here. So what replace more does is it goes through, it grabs all the comments, and then it grabs all of the sub-comments from beneath those. It grabs all the sub-comments from beneath those. So for really extremely large posts, it's actually potentially dangerous, depending on how much memory you have, and you know, especially with like API limitations, it could take a really long time, but we won't really worry about that for now. So the reason I'm doing this is just so we can get all the comments from the submission. And you know, I apologize for not writing any comments so far. Let's go ahead and open the database connection and create a table. And this is opening our Reddit instance. Cool. And this is just for subreddits to look through. Cool. And like we said before, this returns true if we've already commented on this comment, or if we've already replied to this comment. And so this is the actual crawl logic. Okay, so we're grabbing the page, we're grabbing the submissions, and we're going to go ahead and grab all the comments from within the submission. Okay, so then comments equals submission dot comments dot list. Now this is where it actually goes from a generator to a list. So this is the potentially dangerous call in terms of memory limitations. But like I said, I'm not really too worried about it. I may change my mind later. Alright, so for comment and comments, this is just iterating through every comment. This is now actually where we're going to look for our stuff, right? So we're going to look for trigger phrases. Now, if you remember, we have some trigger phrases: buckle up, welcome to your nightmare, get off my back. And then we'll go ahead and look for complex trigger phrases. I don't really know which order I'd rather have it in, but I'll just leave it like this for now. And, oh, you know what? I just realized we also want to look for aw, because sometimes Terry says, aw, bitch. But that'll be slightly different, right? Because somebody could spell aw like that, somebody could spell aw with like 10 A's, somebody could spell it like this. So that's why I thought that we would need RegX, which would be slightly different than just looking for the trigger phrases. So we'll have this as its own separate thing. Maybe we should look for aw first, because that's kind of Terry's, that's my favorite phrase of Terry's, aw, bitch. Complex trigger phrases, and then at the end, let's just look for comments that end in bitch. Great. And then I think that's it. And then, you know, if we find it, we'll comment. So since we have 4 of these potential things here, let's go ahead and create a Boolean here, commented as false. So let's go ahead and work on this aw case here. So here's where we're going to need some RegX. So let's call it the aw RegX. We're going to need to look for, like I said, aw or any number of W's after A, potentially starting with D. But we also want it to match a whole word, so we don't want it to match awesome, right? So we're going to need bounds, which basically says look for anything in here that's an entire word. It's a word bound thing, right? So we're gonna go ahead and, like I said, we could potentially start with D, and I think that's it. So in case you're not familiar with RegX, let me just show you debugx.com, I think. This is a really cool regular expression visualizer. So if I put in, oh, there's even different languages here, cool. If you put in a regex, it'll actually show you. So here's the start. It says there's a word bound, and then look for a D, either 0 or more, right? So if there's no D, it just passes over. And then it looks for an A, and then any number of W's, and then the end of the word. So like I said, awesome won't match, but any length of will, and D, but also any length of this would also work, right? So if you put in another A, it doesn't really work, but at this point, what is this? You know, it doesn't really look like So I was thinking of this, and this, and this, and this, right? So this thing should match, and then it also doesn't match anything that has in the middle, right? It doesn't match that. So we'll go ahead and use that. Okay, so there's our regex. So now that we are, am I missing something here? Oh, whoops. For comment in comments. Look for Okay, so what we're gonna want to do is just grab, based on the regex, from the body of the comment. So we'll call it matches equals regex.findAll, and so we pass in our pattern, and we pass in the body of the comment, and if we get any, so basically this will either return nothing or it will return a list of matches. So if we have something, then that's great. We will call self.comment, and we haven't really done this yet, so we'll come back to that, and then we'll say commented equals true, right? And then at the end of this, if commented, we'll continue. So basically, if we find a match in here, we don't want to continue looking for other potential comment conditions, because we don't want to comment on the same thing more than once. If they type welcome to my nightmare, buckle up, all on the same thing, we don't want to comment 3 times. So we'll leave it like that, and Pepe really grinds my gears sometimes. Okay, so basically what this does is if we write a comment, then it hits the continue and goes back up to the top of the for loop without continuing the rest. So there we go, we got the down. Let's go ahead and look for trigger phrases. So we'll say for trigger phrase in config.trigger phrases. And this, we'll just do it a simple way. We'll do if trigger phrase in comment.body.lower, which just lowers the whole thing, the entire comment, into lowercase. Then we will again call comment, and we'll say commented equals true. Now in this case we're in another for loop, so we're going to want to break out of that. And then at the afterwards, after this for loop, if commented, continue. Yeah. So basically, if we have more than one trigger word here, we have phrases, we have 3, right? So if the first phrase matches, we don't want to continue looping over it. So we hit the first match. If we do, then this gets set to true and we'll break out, and that way it doesn't continue looping. Okay, so that should be it for our trigger phrases. Yeah, looks good to me. And then complex trigger phrases. So this is what I was talking about earlier. If we treat it the same way, it doesn't quite work, right? Well, I guess it does. In config dot, let's just do complex trigger phrases. You'll see what I'm saying in a second. If trigger phrase in comment.body.lower self.comment and commented equals true, break. If commented, continue. Now, this looks the same as right now, but what I'm thinking is that our comment function will have different functionality based on what ends up matching, right? We might want to pass different messages so it's not just the same comment every single time. So if somebody says "ah," we want to say "ah, bitch," right? But if somebody just like says like "you're a bitch," then maybe we just want to send the link, right? So I was thinking this would have, we'd pass the comment that we're commenting on or replying to, but then it might also have a message, right? And yeah, so for these, we'd pass in the comment on all of these, which is the comment object from the Reddit pro object we have, but the phrase might be different for these than for these, right? Because for the trigger phrases we have buckle up and we don't need to pass anything else. But if we match a comment that says "you can run," we don't want to just say "you can run, bitch." We want to say "you can run, but you can't hide, bitch." So this would be for just a normal trigger phrase. This would be just the trigger phrase. But for these complex ones, we would want to send the complex trigger phrase, which is based on the key that we're iterating over. So when we're iterating through this complex trigger phrases, we're just getting the keys. So if this key matches, "you can run," if it matches in the body, then we want to comment, but we want to comment with the entire phrase, which ends up saying "you can run, but you can't hide." Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, I think it will be clear pretty soon. And okay, and then the only other thing we have to do is just look for words that end in bitch. So we're gonna need well, I guess we could just there's a word, right? That just matches a whole word. Yeah, so we'll grab all the words from the comment body with our word regex. What do I call that? Words regex? Yeah, okay. I don't like that. I want it to be clear that it is just a word that we're matching with our comment body. And let's think about this. You can have a comment that ends in bitch, like, "let me see them titties, bitch," right? And if this were the case, you would want to reply, "titties, bitch," right? Well, at least Scary Terry might. But if someone just says "you're a bitch," you don't want to reply "a bitch." Like, it's kind of dumb and it just makes it seem like a bot. So to make it more realistic, I think I only want to match certain words, or at least not match certain words that may come before bitch that don't really make sense, like "a" and "the" and "my," right? Like my bitch. Like you don't want to end up saying my comma bitch. It doesn't really make sense. So I think we're going to need one more thing in here. We'll call these ignore words. And we'll just fill these with things like, you know, possessive words. That bitch, your bitch, to, like, you like to bitch, or, yeah, I like that too, bitch, or with, you know, I could see somebody saying, like, why do you always end your comment with bitch? And you don't want to end up saying with bitch. I mean, that's kind of funny, but not really. Not really the point of the bot, I think. Okay, this could go on for a while. Let me also just add in fucking, because somebody could be like, you're a fucking bitch, and then it doesn't really make sense to say fucking bitch. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna add these because I don't want it to match don't, and I don't want it to match won't. There's probably a better way to do this, but whatever. That took like 5 seconds. Okay, so what we're going to do is look for the words, and let's just grab like the last 2 words from the comment, which, you know, you could do it like this, equals words, line words minus 2 line words. But what if the comment, which is like a slice of the last 2 things, but what if the comment is just the word bitch? Then this wouldn't work. Okay, we'll grab the maximum between 0 and the length minus 2. So this will either be 0 or something bigger. So if it's 5 words total, this would be 3. But if it's only 1 word, then the length of words is 1 minus 2 would be -1. That doesn't work. So then it would grab 0. Between that and the length of the words. So basically this just grabs the get last 2 words of comment. What did I miss here? I'm missing something. Expected a comment, a comma. What? Okay. I don't know, this looks good to me. I don't know what's going on here. This should be a slice, right? So if you have a slice like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you say a equals max 0 and the length of a minus 2, and then, yeah, and then you slice it with the length of a, that should work. Why isn't that working? What am I doing wrong here? Oh, duh. Okay. Wow. Alright. Yeah, we need to get a slice of words, not just a slice of nothing. God, that was dumb. Okay. It's been a long day, folks. Just kidding, that's not an excuse. But this is what happens when you code live. You make mistakes, that's okay. If you get the length of this and it's greater than 0, that means we have words, which is good. That means that there are words in this comment, which, you know, if somebody put in like a hyperlink, this wouldn't match. Like if the whole comment was a hyperlink, that wouldn't work. I don't know if an emoji would match. Probably not. If this thing picks up in Unicode, yeah, I don't think that would match. This /W only matches letters and I think underscores and maybe periods. I don't know. We could always find out. This matches my email.com. Okay, so it doesn't match periods, but it does match underscores. And it doesn't match any of these special characters, right? So a hyperlink definitely wouldn't match here. So if we have a comment that has words more than just a hyperlink or whatever, and the let's just check that the last word is bitch. Not bitch. Length of words -1 is bitch. That means we have a comment that has words in it and the last word contains the word bitch. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, so like I said, we're going to want to create separate possibilities here. So we'll start simple and we'll flesh it out as we go. Comment. Okay, so we have the main logic down, right? We're looking for we're looking for trigger phrases, we're looking for complex trigger phrases, and we're looking for comments that end in bitch. So for now, just to see how this is working, let's go ahead and print out comments that match our criteria. So we'll do comment.body, and we'll go ahead and, just in case, we'll print these out just to see what happens. Okay, yeah. So we're going to need to call bot.crawl in our main functionality there. And let's just see that this works real quick. Okay, so it printed out the front page. These are the submissions that it's looking through. So far it hasn't found anything. Okay, so while this is running, let me talk through and see what else we can establish that we need to do, right? So we wrote this has been commented on, so we could put it in this comment function. It's probably the best move, right? We'll do that. If has been commented on, oops, and we'll pass in the comment.id, then we'll return. The reason we're returning 0 is because I'm thinking we're probably going to want to keep a count of how many things we comment on, just for funsies. So we'll set that there. And actually, since we're doing that, we're going to need to oops, we're going to need to put this before our comment functionality. This is kind of ugly code. I wouldn't do this normally, but just for convenience for now, yeah, we will say print scared Redditors, and we'll say the count of how many people we scared the shit out of. Wait, we want it to be okay. So once that's all done, once this whole thing finishes, it'll say how many times we commented on something. Okay, Unicode object has no attribute encode. Of course. Was this being called somewhere, or did it update while I was typing? What? I didn't know it does that. Wow. Wow. Did not know it could do that. Frickin' PyCharm, man. Okay, well, we'll put this return here so that it doesn't do that. Go ahead and run this again, and we'll let it go while we continue working on things. So apparently what happened there is I added this these two lines to this, and while this was running, somehow it added it to the code base, which I'm actually pretty surprised it can do that. I don't really understand how. I guess because it's interpreted, and I don't know. That's strange. I did not know you could do that. Like I said, I never actually run anything through PyCharm itself. I'm usually working on a Mac or a Linux machine. I run things via a terminal, but whatever. Okay, so let's work on this message functionality. What are the cases that we want to well, first of all, let's look for some videos. Let's aw, bitch. Let me see if that shows up.
Aw, bitch.
Perfect.
I don't know what to say.
Okay, so there's one. We will call that the video. We'll save that. We will look for Scary Terry bitch.
Welcome to your nightmare, bitch. You can run, but you can't hide, bitch. Nothing but fear from here on out, bitch. Buckle up, bitch.
Okay, perfect. So these ones actually have like the full phrases, which I really like. Call this a phrase video. And let's look for one more where he just says bitch. Like just bitch.
Bitch, 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 bitch.
Let's see if I can find that without that thing at the beginning. It's kind of stupid.
Bitch, 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 bitch. Oh.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. Alright, so we'll just call this the bitch video. So, the reason I want 3 different videos here is because if somebody says aw, it'd be more fun to send them the aw video. But if somebody just says something like you're a bitch, then we'll just send them the bitch video. But if somebody says something like you can run or buckle up, I'd rather send the whole phrase video, right? I feel like they deserve it. Not that anybody really deserves to be called bitch, but you get what I'm saying. So, okay, that's good. We can go ahead and keep that. Let me think. What else do we want to do? Let me just add these. I had written these earlier. too lazy to type them again. So I added here on out nothing, and which changes to nothing but fear from here on out. Don't belong together. These two halves don't belong together, and late to class goes to I'm late to class, which I didn't want to have to deal with the apostrophes. Honestly, these could probably just say belong together, but if somebody types they do belong together, I don't really want that to work. Yeah, that's good. Okay, cool. I think that's all we need from the config file. So with that in mind, let's consider our comment function up here. So if it's been commented on, we'll just return. Okay, great. So we hit another error. Within our actual application, we won't be printing anything. So that's not really that big of a deal, although that is a major bummer because that makes things difficult. I know a way to work around it, but let's just move on for now and trust that it will most likely work. I'm sure we'll come across some toxic ass comments very soon. Okay, so here's where we're going to need actually, I don't know if we're gonna need random at this point. Yeah, I don't think we will. Okay, so we have this message, and we have three cases, right? We have, what are our three cases? We have somebody just says bitch, someone says a trigger phrase, and since we have ah as kind of a special case, someone says ah, right? So those are kind of like the three things we want to deal with here. So why don't I go ahead and equals false. Let's just put that there, and I'll show you why. So here's what we're going to want to do. We're going to want to firstly wrap everything in a try except. Now, I will show you why. If you've ever used Reddit before, you'll know that if you type a comment too many times in the same subreddit, it says you're doing that too much, try again later. I don't want that to happen and break the bot, right? And generally, if we're doing the front page, that won't be a big deal. But if we do go through a subreddit that's just filled with the word bitch, chances are, and especially on the same submission, chances are we're going to hit some sort of limit. And I don't really want to, I don't want that to break the whole thing. So there are exceptions within here. They wrote a API exception, which grabs any exceptions relating to the API calls. So you're doing that too much, that's for sure an API response. But they also have a client exception, which I don't think we'll need to worry about that. And then this would just be a base exception class in case somehow it doesn't get caught in the other things. Let me turn Flux off because that's getting really dark, right? Okay, it did. I apologize if that was dark. Okay, so realistically, you'd want to have a, what is this? What is this called again? Prod.exception is the API exception. Okay, you'd probably want that, right? And what does it have in here? As an init, and you can call string on it, and you can call with traceback. We'll just print it for now. Yeah, we'll do that. That looks good to me. And we'll return 0 because clearly that comment didn't work, and we don't want to add a 1 to our comment count. Anyways, so let's assume the best here for now, and we'll say if we have a message, we will want to reply to that message, right? Okay, so if somebody just says bitch, let's just send them the video. Or we can say bitch and send the video URL, right? But if someone says a trigger phrase, let's like quote the trigger phrase and then send the video URL. And then if someone says ah, then we'll quote the ah and send ah video, right? So this would be the trigger video, and this would be the bitch video. Cool. So let's take these cases then. So if somebody does say a phrase, we'll end up passing a message through here, right? So let's go ahead and put that in just so it makes sense for us down here. So let's say we have an ah, right? We're gonna say comment, and we will go ahead and send the match from the ah matches, which would be ah, and let's also say ah is true. Okay, and then let's see, trigger phrases. So we're already sending the trigger phrase as the comment, which is great. Don't think we need to do anything else for that. And here we're also doing that. We're sending the complex trigger phrase value. And down here, this is where we just, I don't think we need a message. We're just going to send the video or video URL. However, like I said before, if someone says, I like science, bitch, would it be funnier to then say science, bitch, and then the URL? Or would just saying bitch be funnier? I think this would be funnier. So, and we also wrote this list of ignore words. So let's just use this to our advantage. And we will say if the length of the words is greater than 1, meaning the last word was bitch, and there's more than one word, and words 0, which would be the word before bitch, is not in the ignore words list, then we will say count plus equals self.comment. We'll pass the comment, and we'll pass in the first word, the word before bitch. So in this case, in that case of science bitch, it would say science. Otherwise, we will just pass. We will just say, just comment. Okay, so if one of those calls has a message, which some of them do, we will reply. A greater than sign in Reddit creates a quotation, which we can see in a little bit once we get this going. We'll say the phrase followed by bitch, and we'll go ahead and include the, we'll put a couple new lines just so that the URL isn't in a quotation thing, and we'll send the message, and we will send the phrase video. However, remember we said would have a different video. So we'll send the phrase video if not else config.ah video. Oops, shit. Alright, great. And then if not, then we'll just comment.reply, and we'll just say ends comment with bitch, kind of like an implying thing. And then we will say let's say something, don't even trip, dog.
It is. Hey, yo, Scary T, don't even trip about your pants, dog. Here's a pair on us, fool.
Aw, bitch. I don't know.
Yeah, let's use hey yo Scary T.
Is. Hey, yo, Scary T.
Hey yo Scary T. Yeah, we'll just use that. Hey yo Scary T. And then we'll include the video. we'll pass in the, oh no wait, we don't want the message. We want the bitch video, which just says bitch, 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 bitch. Perfect. Okay, and then what we need to do after that is we need to submit into a record into the database so that we don't hit it in the future and comment again. Right? Insert into comments. We'll pass the ID, date, and the permalink, and we'll send in these values to it. And let's see what the values are. We'll do comment.id and datetime.datetime.now ISO format. Okay, this just makes a string of the datetime, for example. This created this is a string. Otherwise, if we didn't do the format, it returns an object, and I don't think SQLite 3 can handle that, or the SQLite package. I'm not sure if it can handle it. Other things can, like the MySQL connector, the Cassandra connector. Most of the MongoDB connectors I've used can do it, so whatever. And then comment.permalink, just for fun, in case we ever want to look through our comments. I don't really know if that's necessary. Okay, cool, we'll do that. And then just to be safe, because again, SQLite's kind of weird, we'll commit and we will return 1. So, what does this do? This checks to see if comment is in, actually, if comments on or replies, so many of the same words, replies to comment on Reddit with message if provided plus the appropriate Scary Terry URL, video URL, and then we'll say if comment has already been replied to, return 0. You know, I think this actually has like a, oh, it sure does. Damn. Okay, should have done that. Okay. Well, okay. Applies a comment on Reddit with message if provided plus the appropriate Scary Terry video URL. If comment has already been replied to, do nothing. Okay, and then this is the comment object from PRA, and the message is the message to say. The is a flag denoting if trigger phrase was said, and we will return 0 or 1 for count purposes, which again is probably not the best move, but whatever, I don't care. And it's weird, PyCharm wants you to use triple quoted doc strings because that's what PEP8 wants you to use, so I guess it's not PyCharm's fault. However, when you type in triple quoted doc strings like this, it doesn't create those params and all this shit like the single quotes does, so it doesn't really make much sense. Okay, that's good. I think we're done with that. I don't know how much more we have to do here, actually. Let's see, let's go through this one more time. For every page in our pages, we get the hot submissions, and for each submission within that, we get the comments, and for each comment within that group of comments, we look for the ah phrase, and if we find it, then we comment, and then we go back to the top of this, or then we go back to this loop. Otherwise, we look for a trigger phrase, same thing. Otherwise, we look for a complex trigger phrase. And lastly, we look for comments that end in bitch if these other things didn't trigger a comment. And then we say we scared them. So since this print message wasn't working, but I do want to show that it's. I do want to show. I want to test this obviously. We will just print. Unicode object has no attribute encode. Oh, dude, I spelled encode wrong. Enude. Seriously? Wow, I spelled it wrong. Duh. Okay, great. So it probably should have worked then. Comment.body.encode ASCII. Ignore. However, since we have this functionality, it might be more fun to see what we're saying in return. So we'll go ahead and we'll here. We're printing this in sort of an order here, right? You know what? One last thing before we get to this. I want to, let's just pass in a flag, front only. Remember earlier how I said that some subreddits don't allow you to comment if you're a new account? I don't want to go ahead and just like slam those subreddits. So we'll do a front only, and since it's the first in the page list, at the end of this first loop here, we will say if front only, then break. Okay, so in the future we can just call front only. Actually, let's just do front only true. Make it easier on ourselves for now. Yeah, that should be good. Okay, so like I said, we're printing the page. That'll show up on the left-hand side, and then tabbed in, we're saying the submission, and then so within that, we want to say the comment that triggered us. So we'll do the comment that triggered. We'll print out the comment, because if it reaches this, then that means it was triggered. And then let's print the reply as well, just for funsies. So we'll go ahead and print we'll say the exact same thing that's message. We'll just do it like that. We won't include the URL, it's no point. Otherwise we'll say hey yo, Scary T. Yeah, you know, I think that'll be good. And then this will be if there's an error. Why don't we just erase these? Okay, let's go ahead and run it and see what happens. Yeah, let's try it. So as you can see, this is pretty straightforward, relatively simple. Really, you could, I mean, I could change a lot of this, or I could add a lot of functionality into this. you know, say I want to say, well, there's plenty of stuff you can do from within it. Let's say I want to upvote anyone who triggered a comment. No, not update, upvote. That'd be kind of fun. Even if it's kind of like a toxic comment, whatever. It's just Reddit, it doesn't really matter. What else could I do? I could keep track of, or I could write another function that goes through my replies and looks for replies to any of my replies and upvotes those or interacts with them. So if somebody says good bot, you know, it could just reply, thanks, bitch. That'd be kind of funny. Let's look into how we could go about doing that. I'm not going to do it right now, but it could be kind of fun to look into. So let's see. I'll show you a little bit of these docs too. So I think we would probably want to hit the inbox. I see there's an all, which creates a generator. I don't think we want all though. I think we want comment replies. I don't know if this gives you all new comment replies. Oh, okay. Maybe there's an unread. Yeah. Return a listing generator for unread comments and messages. I see. So I could use this comment for item in reddit.inbox to unread. If it's a comment, then we can do something with it. So this returns a listing generator, which for unread comments probably returns some kind of comment, right? Like we said, or a message. A comment or a message. So a comment we could upvote and we can reply to the same way we've been doing. Reply. A message probably has a very similar reply. Yeah, it'd be kind of fun. Oh, check it out. We got a couple matches. Someone commented, he's looking for Jenny, that bitch. Okay, so here it goes, that bitch. So that would be another one of those keywords. Wait, I have that in there. Did I not lower it? Shoot. Where am I looking for these? Oh, shit. And words lower, not in config, ignore words. Okay, well, whatever. That's fine for now. I can get it away with one. Somebody edited a comment and said, edit, bitch. So it commented, edit, bitch. That's fucking hilarious. Okay, that's awesome. So, you know, one win, one loss, but the loss just got fixed. So what I did wrong here was that this comment had that bitch, and that was in this ignore word list. However, I wasn't setting this all to lowercase, and the that in here is all lowercase. So now, when we're checking to make sure that the word before bitch, which in this case is that, is not in the ignore words, I set it to lowercase first and then check. So in the future this wouldn't match, but goddamn, that's funny. Okay, let's go ahead and let's take a look here. So here we can see it right here. You know, someone said some shit, they're fighting, you ain't getting any though, edit, bitch. And then it commented, edit, bitch, with
Nightmare, bitch. You can run, but you can't hide, bitch. Nothing but fear from here on out, bitch.
Nice. That's dope. However, oh yeah, that's right, because of this. Okay. So let me think. So really, it should have just said. Yeah. It should have just said ends comment with bitch. Ayo, scary T. So maybe we should change this. Maybe I should change it. I liked the edit bitch thing. However, I didn't like that it sent the full phrase video because they didn't say a Terry phrase. So we want to change it so that both of these cases just send the bitch video and not in any other case. So the only time we're sending the bitch video is if there's no message, which now I see is not exactly what I want. So I don't want to add another flag saying, oh, here's another one. You son of a bitch. And it said, Ayo, scary T. So that one, in this case, this did work the way I wanted it to. Applesauce, bitch. That's fucking jokes. God damn. Okay, this is going to be awesome. Okay, so here, this worked exactly the way I wanted it to. Someone said, you son of a bitch. And it said, ends comment with bitch, ayo, scary T. And then it just sent the bitch video.
Bitch, 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 bitch.
Okay, that's perfect. So the only other thing is, in this case, applesauce bitch, I still wanted to just say bitch. I don't want it to send the phrase video unless it matches something like, unless it matches one of these. You can run or buckle up, things like that. So how are we going to distinguish whether we want the video, the bitch video, or the phrase video? That is the question. We can do this a few ways. We can do it like okay, well, the bitch video is always in this case, right? But we also want it in this case. So why don't we do it like this? Let's I mean, realistically, we could just keep it. Let's just do it like this. We'll do video links, and we'll keep this as a dictionary. And we will have the video, and then we'll have the phrase video, and then we'll have the bitch video. Cool. So I don't know why I did it like this. Okay, so we'll keep it like this. Phrase video and the video. Yeah, we'll do it like that. So we'll do video links, and then in here we will, instead of saying we'll do video type, and this will be some sort of string. Let's go ahead and pull that out and put this here. Now the reason we have to do that, actually, let's just default this. So video type equals bitch. What's happening here? Okay, yeah, that's perfect. So we'll do it like this. Instead of this, we'll say config.video links video type, and we'll just pass that in there. And we'll do the same thing here. Even though it's not really necessary and it actually creates a longer line of code, you know, we could just do it like this. Apply equals, we'll set this, no, we'll leave it, Good enough. We'll do it just so it stays uniform, plus I don't have that bitch video link anymore. Perfect. Okay, we'll do it like that, and then down in here we'll have to change these. So instead of equals true, we'll say video type equals right? Ideally this isn't the best because you have to know the keys to this dictionary, but since it's such a small project, it's not that big of a deal. Just get over it. Just, look, get over it, you know? Sometimes things, you don't need to spend that much time on it, especially for something as stupid as a Reddit bot. This will be a phrase video, and this will also be a phrase video. Oh, we're getting some matches. Adapting each bitch. Ayo Scary Terry, Ayo Scary T. Awesome. This is phrase, not phrase. And this is video type equals, oh wait, I set that as default, right? Bitch. Video type is defaulted to bitch, so we don't even need to put it in this case. Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so since we fixed that, why don't we go ahead and stop it? We'll stop it. We'll stop it for now. You know, I just realized, I wonder if that saved anything to the database. I think it should have, because I was doing commit, but I didn't close it. So here's how we find out. Let's go ahead and we'll go into our desktop where I save this thing, and what do I call this? Scary Terry bot. Yeah, there we go. We'll import SQLite 3. Am I spelling that wrong? Yes, I spelled it wrong. Okay. It's only one L. Import SQLite 3, and we'll say SQLite 3 dot connect terrybot.db. Cursor equals db.cursor. We'll say cur.execute select I'm also going to import preprint real quick, and we'll say rows equals cursor dot execute select from comments dot fetch all, and we'll print the rows real quick. Okay, so you can see we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And in here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, cool. So it did save them all. Great. So I don't need to worry about that. That's cool. So now the next time it goes through, it won't comment on these again. Man, I'm really happy with this applesauce bitch comment. That is pure gold right there. Totally worth it. Okay. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's pretty much it. I'm probably going to leave this for now. And I'm just going to let it run. I'm probably going to put this on some sort of cron job and run it. I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take. I'll have to time it, right? Especially once this account gets a week old. I'll turn on the rest of the pages. I'll see how long it takes to run through them all. Some subreddits might have a sticky at the top that has just like way too many fucking comments, which is totally possible. I no longer have this param string. Sorry if I'm like super ADD down on this. Key for config.io links, I think I called it. I don't remember. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's great. So this will basically just run all the time, looking for comments that end in bitch and say key phrases. And Scary Terry Bot is now alive. If you wanna, I don't know if you can follow people on Reddit. I don't really know how Reddit works very well. Hey, check it out. We got a reply. Let's see what happened. Good bot. Check that out. We got a reply. Good bot. So this is what I was saying. I might want to create some sort of functionality to go through my inbox. Damn it. I wish I hadn't clicked that. We could have done it together live, but I fucked up. Oh well. Anyways, since I screwed that up, I'm going to go ahead and end that there. And yeah, please feel free to ask me any questions. Happy to answer them. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks, y'all.